Radio is the theater of the mind. You know, when I would listen to radio, give me an example. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. There was a show called Lights Out, Sunday night. This is the way it began. You'd hear a little organ music. Then a voice. Close your blinds. Lock your door. Crawl under your couch. And turn your lights out. Now you could listen to that. Man, scare you. I love radio of the mind.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest moments in the history of radio, Jack Benny, who was a great comedian, and who part of his shtick was that he was cheap. He really wasn't cheap in real life. He was very generous. So he's walking down the street on the radio, pumping, yeah, and a robber comes over and says, "Your money or your life? Put your hands up. Put your money or your life? Your money or your life? Your money or your life?" He says, "I'm thinking about it."
If you don't know, you won't know. You inside the GGN News Network. I'm your host with the most, Nemo Hoes. And today I have a very special guest, the one and only, the king of talk shows.
The only in one.
Yeah, the king.
The king.
Yeah, the Lion King.
The main man.
Larry King. What's up, baby?
What's up? What's happening? I'm happy to be with you, Snoop, because you've been a great pal to me over the years. Whenever we called on you to come on, I had the honor of driving in your car once, one of the great experiences of my life.
Yes, sir.
Hopping down the street.
Yeah, that's
a car that doesn't drive, it goes up and down.
Low ride, baby.
Only
that's
the Snoop.
And
we had you on my new show when you went from dog to lion.
Yeah, man.
You're an incredible man. I just saw you in Vegas. I had never seen you perform.
That was your first time seeing me?
Yeah, first time I see you get on the stage, do that rap. It was a great night. Man, you killed them.
Yeah, Man in the Mirror. We did the dedication to Michael Jackson.
I was so proud of you.
Thank you, Larry.
And you were so cool on that stage. It was just...
That's what we do, man. I had the spirit of Frank Sinatra in me, old blue eyes.
He was something. You'd have liked Frank, because Frank was noble. Frank had no grays, black or white. Liked you, loved you. Didn't like you, forget it. Do all the modern guys, you black guys, the hip guys, why do they revere Frank?
You know what? Frank has a quality that we always wanted to have, and that's the cool. He's always been cool, and he's always been lovable towards people. He never had a prejudice, and when he accepted Sammy Davis Jr. and made, Sammy his friend, that always stained in our brain that he's treated Sammy with love and respect.
Tell you a great Sinatra story. The Stork Club was a club in New York that was kind of famous or infamous that they didn't take, they didn't serve. Black would come in, they wouldn't serve them. They sort of let him sit in the corner. Frank makes a reservation for dinner and brings Lena Horne.
Oh, wow.
And they get up to the maitre d', and the maitre d' says, "Mrs. Sinatra, I'm sorry, but we don't seem to have your reservation." He's fumbling around. Who made your reservation? Sinatra said, "Lincoln."
Wow. What a boss. Now, get it together.
Yeah.
Get my table for me and Miss Horne.
They got it.
Yeah, because she was the most beautiful thing in the world back then. She was priceless.
Whoa, she gorgeous.
So, Larry, what's the best place you've ever been around the world that you feel like they treat you and Americans the best?
In America, I love San Francisco.
The Bay Area.
I love living in L.A. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My heart's in Brooklyn. Lived in Miami 20 years, great city. Saw the Dolphins come into being, broadcast Dolphin football. Lived in Washington for 20 years, one of the great cities in the world. And L.A., I love living in L.A., but to go and visit, never had a bad day in San Francisco.
Never?
Love the topography, love the people, love the sophistication, love the openness. San Francisco is a special place. Around the world, I've been traveling a lot the last 2-3 years.
Have you ever rode on the train in San Francisco?
Oh, sure. The trolley.
Yeah.
I
Now, that's
love
a
that.
great experience right there.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, that's... remember that show, The Streets of San Francisco, back in the days with
How
Michael
about
Douglas
Tony
and
Bennett's
Carl
song?
Malden.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
Now, I just took a picture with Tony Bennett the other day. We're on Against the Violence. We're on a crusade together right now.
Tony is a great, great guy.
Wow.
I lived a long time because I've interviewed all these people, including Snoop.
What about Johnny Carson?
Johnny I interviewed in New York when The Tonight Show first started. I like Johnny a lot. I thought he was a special guy.
Have you ever thought about doing that, like late night TV?
Well, I used to do late night radio. I would have loved to have done it. I love interviewing people, so any kind of setting you put me in, I like humor. It would have been fun to do it. You know, I liked all aspects of broadcasting. I love the whole shtick. I love being on.
Okay, so one thing I have to address is that Nemo has been talking about this reporter, Julie Chang. And I mean, she's a good reporter, don't get me wrong, but she can't address the weather like I do. Let me show you something.
Mami diciendo que no, queriendo que sí. Mami, si tú te dejas venir.
So tell us about your venture that you got with Hulu.
Oh, I love that. We formed Carlos Slim. I went down to Mexico City and did a speech for Carlos Slim about 3 years ago for his founder. He's the richest man in the world, hell of a guy. And then he came to our house for dinner, and I interviewed him on CNN. And then he said to me one day, how could you retire? He said, you can't retire. So he said, why don't we do something together? I said, well, you know, I got a little money, and you have $76 billion.
Yeah, you rich.
Well, I tried to imagine $76 billion. And so we formed a network called Aura TV. Aura means now. And my show is Larry King Now, and we're adding other shows. We got a great crew. And in July, we're a year old already. And we made the deal with Hulu to be our distributor. The whole world is changing. And to me, all I wanted to do when I was a kid was be on the radio. That's all I wanted to do. I used to dream of being on the radio. And that was my only goal in life. So I had no idea that I would start the first network radio talk show on the Mutual Network in 1978. And then I would come to cable TV through Ted Turner, hired me for CNN. And we would do the first worldwide call-in talk show, interviews. And now on the internet, doing it again. So I feel like I'm a pioneer, and it's kept me young, and I have 2 young children. And I can't believe my age.
You look good for 21.
You know, I'm going to be 80. But I don't feel 80, you know, but 80. In fact, when I was a kid.
You know what my friend told me, Larry? When we get to 40, 50 years old, we should start counting backwards.
Backwards, that ain't bad.
You're 22 years old.
When I was a kid, I didn't know anyone 80. There was nobody 80. When I was a kid, I didn't know one 80-year-old person on the
What was the
planet.
highest that they make it to?
67. Well, Social Security was 65. You know, they figured you live a year.
Oh, wow.
But I'm pretty old. My Social Security number is 001.
For real? You the first one to get a call?
No, I'm kidding, no.
Church, preach, tabernacle.